Okay. Anything else can go wrong? Yeah, I deleted. I stopped the sound because I was just sitting here doing nothing. Okay, I couldn't see your comments, so I did not know there was no sound. So, wasted time for all, and you're all angry now. I'm so sorry. Just as I said that, if anything can go wrong, it disconnects. Okay, again, to tell you what happened here, I don't have any internet at all. At 8 p.m., right before 8 p.m., it was fine. 8 p.m. sharp. Or 5 minutes too. No signal. No internet. Won't connect. I know the video is shaky. We're barely going to get through this here. So I appreciate, so many of you coming in here to watch. And then I'm left here with these kinds of unexpected issues that happen only at 8 p.m. So the only way I can connect when I'm doing a live stream is on Starlink. Otherwise, I can't even get out of here. It's almost like something is disrupting my network and I don't know what it is. So I'm just even waiting for just a steady connection so I can talk here. And I know the video is probably getting frozen because I can't get a steady connection. So I don't know. I don't know what should I try to salvage this or just end this now and start again at some other day? Gonna wait for your input because it depends on what you guys are experiencing over there, because you probably have sound. Yeah, you must be getting sound. It's just that I'm not. You're probably not gonna get a good video. Okay, well, let's do it anyway. And since you have sound, we'll ignore the video. The video is choppy. And yeah, let me just pass the information I want to pass. And then whining about this isn't going to help you or me. So I'm just going to ignore and keep going here. And I hope at least the sound is good. So yeah, when I'm using Starlink, the connection is not very solid. So it just goes up and down, and it disconnects constantly as the satellites pass up in the sky, and it's not very good for live streaming. But it's the only internet I have at the moment. I bet you right after I do this, it's gonna be fine. Now, what I want to talk about is just 5 simple hacks that you can execute, and let's just consider this like a podcast, since you're not going to see the video too well. Let's just consider this as a podcast, and you may want to just turn away from the video and not worry about the video. But just consider what I'm saying as in terms of the words I'm saying here. So I'm going to give you 5 tips. They're very simple tips, and the point of my tips here today is that I am not going to tell you tips that require you to buy the Google phone or buy VPN or do something special. I'm just going to use a few tips that are so practical, that they're all free and practical, and it's going to be useful for you in real life. And number 1, the first one I'm going to talk about, relates to doing tax returns, which I've been busy doing. Tax returns. Of course, I have a business as well, so business tax returns and personal tax returns, and complicated stuff like that. And then you have to deal with an accountant. And then, of course, you have to pass documents back and forth between your accountant and yourself. And you say, well, how do you pass that? So how do you actually consider that problem? I'm just wondering what average people do. I bet you that many of you just email documents like tax returns and W-2s and such details. I mean, that is the biggest screw up you can ever make. Biggest screw up, because of course email is the least secure method of passing anything. I mean, if you have a fax machine, that would actually work. But if you don't have a fax machine, oh my gosh, the worst thing you can do is to email something. So how are you going to do that? Then many of you will say, oh, I'll use my phone and make a PDF file. So you take your documents and you make a PDF file and you say, well, how am I going to send this? Oh, I know. Let me do a passworded PDF file. Oh, yeah, right. Things like that will make you fail very, very fast. So this is one of these simple problems where somebody doesn't have a solution. So I'm going to pick a solution that is so simple, because here's the problem. You can always say to somebody, hey, let's go on such and such a platform and we'll exchange our files on such and such secure platform. Oh, let's go to Session, let's go to Signal and go past files. And yeah, right. Again, I'm going to try to give you the simplest approach here, because as you know, you can't convince the other party to install some app, especially if it's an accountant. It's going to take too long and they don't want to go figure it out, and it's gonna just be complicated. You got to find the least complicated way. So I tried to figure it out, and my accountant is so old that trying to even get him to go on BraxMe, my own app, was very difficult, because if you tell them how to navigate on BraxMe, it was very, very difficult to do. So I said, how do I do this? How do I solve this problem? I even tried sending a zip file with 10 million characters and password, just so it's secure. And then you sit on the phone and have to, tell them the password, and it's going to be long. There are going to be typos. You're going to be sitting there every sucking day. Hours a day trying to even just communicate simple stuff, and it's really, really wasteful in time. So the simple solution is this, and I picked this up from that general who was having an affair with some consultant. Was it Petraeus? I can't remember now. Was it General Petraeus? So you guys can remind me who it was. But the point was, what General Petraeus did, and that lady that he was having an affair with, assuming it's Petraeus, I can't remember, was to set up an email account. And then on the email account, they only set up one account. And then they never actually emailed to each other. They just stored it in drafts. Okay. Now, the problem with this method is setting up emails very complicated. General Miley, is it? Okay, I don't know who it is. Anyway, doesn't matter. Now, I don't like the method that they use, because setting up email is too complicated. And setting up things like, let's say you use Dropbox. Let's set up one Dropbox account. Let's just theorize on that for a moment. And the problem is, if you go to some standard social media and say, okay, I'm going to post a file on such and such, and we'll share one account, the problem is the account will ask for two-factor authentication, and you'll be there forever. Okay, so the simple solution, guess what, guys, is BraxMe. I'm going to tell you how to do this on BraxMe. It's so fucking simple. Guys. You set up an account for whoever you're going to talk to. Okay, let's say that the person is Joe Smith. Okay, that's the person you're talking to, and you say, okay, Joe Smith, I want you to log into BraxMe and type in this password, and your user ID is Joe Smith, and your password is Joe Smith 1. Okay, something that's easy to remember. And the person goes into BraxMe, that at least this part is easy, logs. You already set up the account in advance, by the way. You already made the account, Joe Smith, with password Joe Smith 1. You already did that in advance. So the person just logs in with the same account. And then you say, go to My Files. Okay, you don't even need to teach chat or any. Hell with all that. It's too much trouble. Just say, go to My Files. Hit upload. Upload the file. Done. Bye. I got the document. The reason you get the document is you're also logged in to Joe Smith's account on another computer. So you're both logged into the same account. And when he uploads, you can see it immediately. So, oh, I got it. Let me download that. You don't have to teach anyone anything. This is an awesome. This is an awesome shortcut, and it worked because my accountant is very old, and I don't have to teach anything. My accountant couldn't even tell. Type on the URL bar BraxMe, and he said, "What is a URL bar?" OMG, you're gonna be there forever for sure. Well, I go to Google search to type BraxMe, and then you got to get Google search. Oh my gosh. You know what I'm talking about here. So anyway, that's a simple solution for passing documents. And on BraxMe, the documents are encrypted. But you don't even have to worry about that too much because you can delete the files after you get it. You don't even have to keep it there. You upload a file, download it, and immediately delete it. So, it doesn't even have to stay there. It doesn't even matter what platform you use because it's not going to be there long enough. So, because you're just passing a file. But it's not at least being sent out on the open like email, and it occurs very fast. Okay, so that's tip number 1. It's really, really great to use with accountants and anyone that wants to pass you want to pass a file to. And maybe I should have a very simplified BraxMe just for this purpose. Meaning take everything out of the menu and just, like Brax pass a file, something like that. And then you do something like this and then you're done. Okay, so that's tip number 1. Are we doing okay here? You're all responding in the comments, so you must be able to hear me. Okay, so again, forget the video. Video is not going to work here. At least I'm going to get through this and give you the tips because it's important that we give you a positive experience after waiting for me and the zucking internet failure here that I cannot explain. Maybe I'm being hacked. I have no idea. It's hard to check when you're in a live stream. So tip number 2 has to do with your photos. So if you upload a photo blindly to any social media. So you take a photo with your camera and then you upload it to social media in some way. It doesn't matter what the social media is. What happens is the photo has EXIF or Exif data. And that, of course, is going to be dangerous. So how do you prevent the photo from posting to social media with dangerous data? Well, it depends on your device that you took the photo with. The Exif data that you often have to worry about is the identity of the device and things like location. So one of the ways you can prevent the Exif data from being in the photo is to make sure your camera app always has no location permissions. This is probably the simplest solution. No location permissions on your photo or your camera app. If you do that, then the Exif data will not contain location. It may contain other things though, like serial numbers of the device, if that's important. But at least it won't get the location. And the location is what Facebook uses, for example, to go spot you. So if you're blindly uploading a photo and you're not taking care of the Exif data, then you're sending them metadata, and then they're actually tracking you through the photos. So all of you who use apps like ducking TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, even YouTube, anything where you pass the picture directly from your camera, from your phone to the social media site directly. Snapchat is another one. Anytime you do that, you are passing Exif data. Okay, so two ways around this. Again, one is to turn location off, so there's no location Exif data. But if you want to make sure that the file, the photo, does not have Exif data, you can pass it through, again, BraxMe. You upload the photo to BraxMe and then you download it immediately. So upload and then download, and then now you have a photo that's been scrubbed, because BraxMe scrubs the metadata. So I do that. There are other apps that scrap metadata, so you can find apps like that, I'm sure, in the App Store. EXIF, Exif scrubbers, stuff like that. You need something like that if you happen to have location on, or you want to remove more information like serial numbers of the device. So or the model of your phone and all that. So if you want to be extra careful, get some scrubber. There are many free ones on the internet, and BraxMe is one of them. BraxMe is not marketed as a scrubber. It's just that it does scrub anyway. If you upload a photo to BraxMe, it will scrub the metadata, and then when you export it, it's already free of metadata. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 2. Again, I'm not going to give you tips that cause you to pay money. These are all tips that are free. There's no charge to implement any of this, and you don't have to use whatever I say with BraxMe. You can use whatever, but it just so happens I have that available for you guys for free. Number 3, again, a very simple privacy solution is to never give out your main phone number for two-factor authentication. Never give out your main number for two-factor authentication with any social media site. I explain this often in many videos, and the reason you're concerned about that is that when you reveal your two-factor authentication number, those same social media sites have contact lists that they import from every user, and so the social media site like Facebook and Google and so on will have a list of contacts with phone numbers, and even if they don't know your real name, they can then go match the phone number to the contact list and say, oh, we know who you are, and you're a friend of this person here who uploaded your contact list, which identifies you, and then they can use that to give a positive ID to your account. So to avoid that, what you want is to never give out that phone number that everyone knows to that social media site. Now I'm going to give you a free solution for now, because normally what I suggest, which I'll talk about in a future video, and I've talked about in the past, is using a second SIM card for 2FA only, and that insulates everything. But we're going to come up with a solution here that doesn't cost anything, okay, that you can use immediately for free. So this is the solution, guys. This is the solution. What you do is you set up voice over IP as your phone number. Now, I'll give you an example voice over IP, which you'll find I'm using, and that is Google Voice. Now, this only works in the US, by the way, because Google Voice is free. You can use others, but it's not free. You can use even Skype and Viber and so on, but I don't believe those are free. So Google Voice is free. Now, when you use Google Voice, you can then use Google Voice as the 2FA for Twitter, which I actually use it for my Twitter account. Use it for 2FA for other social media accounts, but you can't use it as 2FA for Google. So this is the modification of the hack here. For Google, what you need is some old Android phone. So you're going to use this only for 2FA. So find some old Android phone. doesn't have to be new. It doesn't have to be connected to the internet. It doesn't need a SIM card. So find some old phone. It doesn't matter what it is. Then what you do with the old phone is you use Google. This has got to be running Android here, okay? Or it's an old iPhone can function too. No SIM card. You connect using Wi-Fi. You connect to Google, and then you set the phone as your two-factor authentication. Not a phone number, a device. You can do that in Google. You can use a device. You use the Google app, so you basically make sure you have the Google app on there, which it is on standard Android or on an iPhone, and then you do the authentication from the Google app. You designate it as a device, and then when it asks for two-factor authentication, it will come up on the phone, and then you just press the button. All it needs is an internet connection. No phone number. No phone number. Then, this is the secret, guys. When you're not using it for two-factor authentication, turn it off. Turn it off. So it's really just for that purpose. You just have it as a backup. Hopefully it's a small phone. And then you use it for... This is the cheaper way. This is where you don't have to pay for a SIM card. You don't have to do any of this. And it's free. And I don't want to, stop you from having a privacy solution because you have to buy a SIM card and buy another, buy a phone with two SIM cards and do all this, which is what I do. It's something more sophisticated, but you don't need to do that. If you want to save money, just have an old phone, like one of those 3G phones that are no longer supported. They're fine for this. They will work fine for two-factor authentication. So that is tip number 3. And then what happens when you do this? Your phone number 2FA will no longer identify you. So you can now go into tip number 4. So the problem is if you don't do tip number 3 about the 2FA, two-factor authentication, tip number 4 will be invalid. So tip number 4 is very simple. Do not use your real name in your social media accounts. So if your name is Joe Smith, you don't go to your social media account like YouTube and say, I'm Joe Smith. If you can help it. I mean, obviously, if you have a big channel, it's too late now. But if you don't have a big channel on YouTube, go change your name and call yourself something else, or just say Joe X, or or Cosmic Rose, or James Randolph. Is that your last name? Well, you probably ought to think about that. But maybe you did think about it. Maybe that isn't your real name. I don't know how smart you are with the privacy stuff. But anyway, if you do this, then and you do not use a 2FA with your primary number, then you will actually be unique and unidentifiable in social media. The problem is once you link your fake name to a 2FA with your real name, the contact will match and your real name will be known to the social media site. This is why it's important to handle 2FA before you change. Well, I guess you can do it at the same time but you should be able to do both. Okay. Now, some of you may have a different problem here in that your Google ID is your Gmail and your Gmail has your real name. Bad move. So you may want to change that too. Okay, so do not use your real name in your social media accounts. Okay, number 5. Number 5 is also very simple. Number 5 is very simple. Normally, I'll give you a very complicated case of this, and we're going to simplify it. When you're doing controversial things on the internet, let's say you want to, search for gun videos, or particular political videos on the left or on the right, or you want to research certain topics, and you may go deep into an area that may make you look suspicious, even though you're just doing research. So how would you handle that without any complex explanation? Well, I'm going to give you a very, very simple approach here, and that is to use a different browser when you're doing this. Clear cookies first. Start out with clear cookies. Set aside a special browser that you use for controversial things. Call it your controversial browser. Maybe they should make one like that with that name. A controversial browser where you can leave your watching dog videos and cat videos and TikTok videos and whatever on your main account, but when it comes to doing something political, for example, anything that would profile you, anything that would classify you in some way and put you into a cohort that identifies you, I would make sure that is in a different category. And the way to do that is do not log into Google, go into a different browser, clear cookies one time to just make sure there are no Google IDs stored in there, and then use that as your controversial browser. And then you can go to YouTube, you can go to Twitter, you can go to whatever, and as long as you never log in to Google. Never log in. This is very important. Never log into Google on that browser. If you do, erase cookies, start again. Never log into that. So this is a very simple explanation. I didn't go into, setting up browser isolation and more complicated tips. This is very simple. Just keep your controversial stuff to a separate browser with no Google ID in there. And that way it can't match it to your account. Otherwise, it's tracking you on the other account. Okay, so those are 5 tips. I'm going to repeat them again for you, because these are really simple and they can be easily applied. And believe it or not, they have quite a bit of impact on privacy. Okay, and I didn't tell you to buy anything. I didn't tell you to buy a VPN. I didn't tell you to get a BraxMe phone. I didn't tell you to do anything. This is just we're going to help anyone who's needy here, who doesn't have a lot of money and wants to have some privacy. You can do that. Okay, number 1 is use BraxMe to pass files by setting up one login, and you tell the other person to use the same login, and just use my files to transfer files back and forth. Okay, that's tip number 1. Very, very simple. Tip number 2 is use some app that can strip the Exif data or the metadata from photos before you upload it to social media. And there are apps like that, but you can also use BraxMe. You can upload to BraxMe and then download it immediately. And there are other apps. The BraxMe may not work too well for some phones for this purpose, in which case then there are other apps that can do this, and they will scrub the Exif data for you, or turn off the location at least on your camera, so there's never a location on your camera. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3 was to never give out your main number as 2FA. Now, of course, you may have done it already. Just take it off. Okay, and use a voice over IP phone number. If you want a free one, you can use Google Voice, which will work for non-Google properties. So non-Google properties will accept Google Voice. I've tried it; it works, but it will not work for Google. For Google, instead, you use a dedicated old phone, like your old 3G phone. Internet only, no SIM card, connected to Google, and that will be your 2FA without a phone number. It will just be a device, and you turn it off when it's not in use. You turn it off when you're not using 2FA. Okay, otherwise it will send your location to Google. So turn it off when you're not using it. Okay, number 4 tip is remove your name from your social media accounts, and this may include removing your name from Gmail, or using a different Gmail account if your Gmail happens to have your real name on it. Okay, so that alone can actually cause many things to fail as far as matching you. And number 5, when you want to do something controversial, like things like searches on the internet that are politically that are political in nature, or anything that might classify you in terms of politics or some belief, even religion, do that on a different browser that has never logged in, that is not logged into Google. And if you want to make sure that there's no trace of Google on it, just clear cookies the first time you use it, and then don't log into Google on that device. That way it never has a Google ID, and then any website you go to will not be tracked by Google. So those are the 5 simple free hacks to obtain your privacy without too much complication. Okay, thank you for allowing me to do this even with such a bad signal. And let me just pause for a moment for a station break for my sponsor. At least I'm able to talk about my sponsor, which is Linode. Akamai bought Linode this past year, and they continue to be my main supplier of cloud services for much of the services I offer you guys. Much of them are on Linode. And why am I on Linode? Because the price is right, and the service is outstanding. They're just like really good people. They're just so easy to deal with. And if you use the code https linode.com/RobBraxman when you sign in, they'll actually give you a $100 credit, which you can use within 2 months for any service you use on their cloud services. So if you want to use a server, make a website, do all that, it will save you money. And I'm telling you right now, they're cheaper than any of the sites that you might think about. Many of you think about GoDaddy if you're kind of a non-pro. If you're a pro, you're thinking about AWS, Amazon AWS. All are extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. Starlink is wonky. Yeah, Starlink is wonky. So, yeah, so audio only. So forget about the video part. Just okay, that actually disconnected. There was a brief disconnect in there. Okay, hopefully that was brief enough that it didn't start a new video. Okay, so hopefully you got some information from those tips. And then let's see if you have any questions here. And I will try to answer those questions. Okay, good. So Linsko Pyring was able to